all my time. Kind of got sucked in anyway. Really have enjoyed that experience since then. Very motivated by democracy, participation, representation. That's really what drives me. And I think, again, that is very much reflective in all of our platforms that we're going to talk about tonight. One other thing that I think Morgan and I really value about this campaign is kind of the historical potential we have to make here. Morgan and I, if elected, would be the first ever double female ticket in office for Student Senate. I like to refer to this as the icing on the cake. Please don't vote for us just because we're women. That's not the point at all. We have a great platform underneath us. This is kind of the extra thing on top of that. And I think, you know, it's great. We have the potential to make history here, not only with our platforms, but with this significant step as well. And so I'm looking forward to discussing more of our platforms tonight.
Thank you all. I'm now pleased to introduce our panel of journalists. First is anchor and producer for KUJH, Thomas Hopo. Next to him is the managing editor of the University Daily Kansan, Allison Cohn. And seated next to her is Kaylin Stockton, a producer and journalist with KJHK Radio. To my right is seated Will Weber, associate editor of digital media for the University Daily Kansan. And the first round of questions from our journalists will be directed towards specific platform ideas advanced by each coalition. And Allison has our first question.
Okay, so this question is directed toward Miranda and Grow KU. Your mental wellness platform states, Grow KU will work to create a campus environment that nurtures mental health and maintains a positive opinion about community wellness. Why is community wellness important to your coalition, and what specific actions will you implement to improve campus wellness?
So this mental health platform, it is kind of the most near and dear to my heart because I've had a lot of friends kind of suffer from mental health issues over the years. Looks like a few different initiatives falling under this. First of all, we are partnering with Active Minds, which is not only a nationwide organization, but they have a chapter here on campus. They have the institutional knowledge about how to spread awareness about mental health issues, how to destigmatize it, how to make students know it's okay to get help. We really should be treating mental health not as just a health problem, but as a public health problem. It is something that helps all of us. Some 2/3 of college students that suffer from mental health issues never seek out help. Whether it's stigma or whether it's the fact that they can't avoid it or they can't afford it, both need to be considered in this issue. So as far as how we want to approach that, partnering with Active Minds to kind of get that institutional knowledge is very key. We have also had some great conversations with the director of CAPS, which is Counseling Services in Watkins, and he is very much on board for increasing their marketing, kind of doing some rebranding, making the presence a lot greater on campus, so students know that these services are available for them, and that they hopefully feel like this is something they should step up and take care of. The last piece of this, probably what is most important to me, is the fact that it does cost to get mental health services on campus. $15 may not be a lot for a lot of us, but it can still be a huge barrier for a lot of people. $15 to get a counseling appointment, even if you just really need to talk about, oh my God, I have so many tests this week, I'm so stressed out. It can be really useful. We've had some conversations with individuals at Endowment who are very optimistic that we could talk to donors, we could talk to alumni who would be interested in kind of subsidizing this cost and making it more open for students to access, which is definitely the most important part to me, because we can have this great conversation about destigmatizing, but at the end of the day, if someone can't afford to get services, they're still not going to get the help they need.
Our next question comes from Thomas.
Yes. Let me grab this. My question is for Sarah for Crimson and True. One of your platforms states that you would like to reduce the pay of the Student Senate executive staff. How would you make those cuts, and which student groups would benefit?
When I first joined Student Senate freshman year, I thought that the executive staff positions were voluntary. I wondered why people work so hard and like how they could manage to fit in all of that time. And so I do understand that the pay that executive staff is given is definitely deserved because they do work hard. However, I think that we could definitely redirect some of the time that's spent in the office and delegate it better to student senators who would like to do the work that is done by the Student Senate executive staff, and give that money back to student groups. And it would just be a part of the general unallocated fund for any student group to apply for. So yeah.
Our next question comes from Kaylin.
This question is for Mitchell and the Jayhawkers. Your undergrad research platform seeks to expand research opportunities at KU. If elected, how will you ensure this platform is fulfilled, and what avenues of funding will you use to support this potentially expensive venture?
Yeah, so currently undergrad research is a great thing that our university does, and it's something that we're known for. We're a flagship university when it comes to research. And so it's obviously something that we want to continue throughout all the years. And right now, there's people who don't really know their majors. They kind of want to experience that in their first year and their second year to kind of know if they want to continue that or if they want to change majors and actually have experiential learning that will actually, do something for them and give them some research and backing. But not only that, right now, the honors program and students who are really well connected are the only people who can easily get these opportunities. And that's a major barrier. I'm in the honors program, but even being in the honors program myself, I didn't know the opportunities that I could get because I used to be a history major back then, and I have no idea what kind of research history students even do at that point. And as for the feasibility to it, I think that it's something that we're going to work with our Pre-101 initiative, and it's really just focusing on just getting those opportunities, whether that's GTAs or graduate students right now who currently have research going on, and they can pass that along to their first or second year students and kind of just allow them to be interns for them. I feel.
I have a follow-up for all three of you.
Sure.
And I'd like to give each of you a minute to return to the question that you were asked and focus really in on that how question. How is it that you would implement, in the case of who the first question was to Grow KU, how is it that you're going to implement this mental health program? For Crimson and True, how is it that you would adjust executive pay and still maintain the operations of the Senate? And for the Jayhawkers, how is it that you would make allocations go so that undergraduate research is supported? So each one of you has a minute, and we'll go in the order in which you received your questions. So Miranda, you first.
I think I touched on this a little bit, but like I said, kind of three-parter to this mental health platform. Partnering with Active Minds, we have already expressed, as a general Grow KU initiative, student org collaboration on the whole. So this is a very straightforward way of getting Active Minds into the Senate office, but also working with a lot of different organizations on campus that can increase their visibility, kind of benefit from that relationship. Awareness, I know that can be kind of a vague concept, but I think it is very, very important in this instance. And then as far as CAPS, increasing their marketing on campus, I don't have institutional knowledge about how marketing works, but there are people who do, and so we need to bring them in the conversation. And obviously, CAPS already kind of has a plan for that, and they're just looking for student input as far as how to make them more visible on campus. And then the third part, the getting rid of the costs for, or at least subsidizing the costs. Ideally, I think there would be, determining financial need for who needs to get rid of the cost for mental health services. It would be my goal in the future that there would be no cost for the counseling sessions, because there's a lot of schools who do have that service for free.
And Sarah, your question was about the pay for the executive. So how is it that you would make that happen and still maintain the operations of the Senate?
Sure. I believe I touched on this, but I'm sorry if I wasn't very clear. I think that we need to reduce the number of hours that student Senate executives work and delegate that extra work to student senators who are willing to do the job. I remember when I was in Student Senate my freshman year, I thought it would be really cool to do something like with development, but I wasn't necessarily ready to take on the role of a development director. I wanted to learn about the job without actually being in the job yet. And I think that there are plenty of movers and shakers within the Student Senate who would be able and capable of doing that well. Also, I think we should reduce the number of hours that are worked over in the summer. Sometimes it's not necessarily proportional, and I think that we can definitely reduce that and still come to the same results as a body.
And Mitchell, your question touched on avenues of funding, and I didn't hear that piece in your answer. So how is it that would be part of the undergraduate research program that you guys are advancing?
I think right now there's currently a lot of opportunities to pull from when it comes to undergraduate research. And with this, we kind of just want to create an interactive application that is a posting students where students can actually put their resumes and actually get those opportunities for research. And
Great. Our next question, we're going to look over to Will to see what he has available to us from either Twitter or the audience.
To begin, I'm going to go with one off of Twitter that comes from Caleb Bobo.